Hi, Peter Charles here, Hooked for Life Fly Fishing, and today let's talk about balancing a rod. Now, if you've ever looked through fly fishing forums, a lot of the time you're going to see comments, will this reel balance my rod? Or should I have a reel? What kind of reel? You know, if I buy this reel, is it going to work? Okay, there's lots and lots of comments on balancing rods. And another type of comment you're going to see is it really necessary? Because I know some people don't believe in balancing rods, they don't care. So we're going to talk about a few things about balancing rod and how to do it with, be careful here, an empty fly reel. Because when you go to buy a rod and reel in a shop, the reel is not loaded with line and backing, so it's a lot lighter. So how do you know whether it's going to fit your rod or not? Whether it's going to balance your rod. So let's talk about reels for a moment. And I have three reels in front of me here. I have this large saltwater reel, I have this small trout reel, and this is a slightly bigger trout reel. And let's look at the markings and what they mean, because sometimes you can rely on the markings. If it says it's a 5/6 reel, that suggests it should fit a 5 or a 6 weight rod. Okay? So let's look at this one to start with. This is a saltwater rod, and you can see it says 910 on it. Now, saltwater, we like lots of capacity, so if I was going by the number, I would go just by I would use this as a 9 weight. I wouldn't use it as a 10. And it does have a reasonable amount of backing on it. So it will fit, in this particular case, it will fit a 10 weight no trouble. I have seen, though, when you get into trout size reels, this can get to be an issue that sometimes especially with modern lines, which are a lot thicker, this rating, this second number here, we've got a 9, right way up. We've got a 910 or a 5/6, for example. The 5 might fit properly. The 6 might be a bit of a squeeze. So, you know, one way is the number, and I usually use the lower number as the one I'm, you know, a 9 weight reel, 9 weight rod type of thing. That's how I'd think of this reel. Now we look at this little Hardy here. It's called a Featherweight. It does not have any numbers on it. You got to know what it fits. And if you don't know what it fits, you know, hopefully somebody can tell you. This holds a 4 weight. You could use it for a 3 weight too, but usually 4 weights are what we consider for the Featherweight. But you don't know. And so when you're buying this and you're buying a reel, you know, a rod, you know, do you know if it's going to balance or not? You don't know. Here we've got another little Hardy. And this one is called a number 6 on it. It's considered to be a 6 weight. But again, the thick line problems, this may not be enough to hold a 6 weight line, a modern 6 weight line with a bit of backing. So you get into those problems about selecting a reel. The other problem is you can have a reel that's called a 6 weight and it's heavy or it's light. So it's light, it's really better for a 5, or it's heavy, it's better for a 7. You know, there's no uniform weights. When they call a reel a 6 weight, it doesn't mean it can be light, it can be heavy, it can be halfway in between. So how do you determine whether it's going to balance your rod while you're in the fly shop? And the other thing is, how do you know where to balance it? Well, let's start off with this one right here. Okay, so I'm going to hold it with my left hand as if I'm casting. Now you see where my forefinger is right here? That's the fulcrum. That's where the fly rod's a lever, and that's the fulcrum. That's where the forces are going to go, right where my forefinger is. So that's the point we want to have balance, except this reel is empty. So of course you're seeing it's dipping down here. So where does it balance with the empty reel? Well, look at that. It balances right on the front of the cork. So with an empty reel, you're going to balance more or less on the front of the cork if your reel is right for the rod. So let's see if it actually is right for the rod. I've got another reel here which has fly line. So we remove that. Okay, so where does that balance? Right where my forefinger is. Right where I would normally hold it. And that's what we want, because that's where the forces are going to go. Switch hands here. Right, this is where you're going to feel it. It's right on that forefinger. So that's where the balance goes. And as you see, with the empty reel, it was right here. And with the full reel, it's right here. So when you're in a fly shop, if you can get to balance on the front of the cork, you're good to go. If it balances up here, it's too light. If it balances back here, where you want it to balance with a full reel, and it's balancing back there empty, it's too heavy. So what you want, if you're in a fly shop and you've got an empty reel, you want it balanced there, and a full reel, you want it balanced where you put your forefinger. So when you're in a fly shop, you're buying brand new reel and it's empty, and you want to try it on your rod, remember that little trick. Just balance it in the front of the cork and you're good to go. Cheers.